Hello and good evening, everybody. So thank you for joining us tonight. As part of LGBT History Month, we have two special guests with us, Charlie and Eliza, and we're going to delve into the spirituality theme of mind, body and spirit this month. And we're looking at paganism and learning more about this earth-based religion. So hi guys, how are you?
Hi.
Hi. Good. Yeah.
Thank you for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us from the other side of the world.
You're very welcome. It's nice that we can connect.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know or has never heard of it, do you want to tell us a little bit about what paganism is?
Yeah, so the word pagan literally means one who dwells and walks on the earth, which is quite funny to me because that means literally everybody. But essentially, we work with the cycles of nature, moon phases, agricultural cycles, and usually within loads of different paths in paganism, we all kind of have, it's called like the ancient religion, which is basically old deities and gods and stuff. We specifically worship the Greek deities that you hear about in the crazy Greek mythology stories that you get told when you're in like primary school.
Percy Jackson.
Oh yeah, Percy Jackson, but not actually, because there's a lot of false information in those films. But yeah.
That's what we were going to kind of delve into, wasn't it? About some of the myth busting around paganism, kind of what people think, and actually if that's actually the truth. Fantastic. I really like the idea of it kind of being that earth-based practice, because actually, like you say, we're all on the earth, aren't we? And we should all connect to it a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally came up. I was having a conversation with my mum randomly about going to Mars this morning because there was a thing about astronauts, and I was like, why would I leave my mother, as in like the earth, when having that consistent contact with her provides me so much protection and love.
Yeah, to go somewhere completely unknown.
Yeah, also that, I don't know.
A bit scary.
Really scary, isn't it?
No, not leaving mama on the earth.
No.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So how did you find paganism? Kind of how did you when did it become part of your life?
I was gonna say, you take the floor, Eliza.
So it's quite strange because I first kind of heard about paganism from Charlie when I first met Charlie. But as I started to learn about it, I realized that I'd kind of been
doing it for your whole life.
Yeah, I realized I was kind of already doing loads of the practices, and like I was already really interested in loads of the stuff from like really, really young. And I was like, that's quite scary. So I was like getting into it when I met Charlie, and then I found like my box of like 60 crystals from when I was young, and I was like,
this must mean something.
This is interesting. Yeah. But it's very casual things that you don't really realize are kind of actually probably originated from pagan beliefs, and you're like, oh, hello.
Yeah, you don't always have to have a label on it, do you? Actually,
yeah, exactly. Like I didn't realize that like as a kid, it's like a lot of the time we think about things during our childhoods and we talk about them, and then people would be like, I never did that. What was that? And I was like, what? So you never like picked up random twigs and just took them home because you liked them?
You didn't used to make potions out of flowers when you were a child?
You didn't
weirdos.
You didn't use sticks to do water divining? Like that was something that we had.
No, that's weird.
Okay.
You just hyper alert child. That's a bit scary.
No, I got taught how to like water divine using sticks, which apparently isn't a thing.
I don't know what that is now.
Do you not?
I've never heard of this.
So you know when you get a Y-shaped stick.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You pick it up and it points to water. That's a thing. And I did that as a child with my grandma, who was very clearly a pagan. She like hung up dried herbs in her house and was a nurse and like used to open the window when one of her patients passed away so that they weren't stuck in the building.
Okay. Yeah. But actually things that follow that theme of spirituality, isn't it? Kind of letting the soul leave and actually just being close to the... Why not make things? Absolutely. Kind of making your own soaps, using your herbs in medicinal things.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize that wasn't a thing that people did doing
But
that.
then again, lots of people do it without realizing. Like they're buying like bags of stuff to put in baths, like bath salts, and they often have like rose petals and rosemary and stuff like that. And I'm like,
You're literally,
there's a reason those are in there.
Like blowing out birthday candles is a pagan ritual of manifestation. You're blowing, you're blowing your intentions into the universe using fire, and people are like, no witchcraft for me, but I am going to celebrate my birthday.
Yeah. Well, it's become just normalized, but I guess it's interesting when you realize that so much stuff originates from
us specifically. We've been here.
We are centuries old.
I mean, to be honest, that's what a lot of pagans believe about their souls, though. I believe that my soul has been like reincarnated ridiculous amounts of times.
I'm not sure mine can have been reincarnated. I'm so unstreetwise. I really don't think that that's possible.
No, I think you just like were killed as a child in your previous life.
Robs.
When you were quite young and you hadn't got streetwise yet.
Exactly.
Gone.
Yeah.
The thing you were saying about blowing out the candles is really interesting, because I used to love, my favorite thing was to pick the dandelion seed head and make a wish. And blow it.
Manifestations. I use my plants, and because I'm a plant dad, I have loads in my room, and so are you. You are also a plant dad.
You can see little bits.
Yeah, I mean, this is fake. Sorry to expose you, Eliza, but there's
I'm trying to get this.
There you go. There's Eliza's ivy, and there's loads around the room that you can't see. But
yeah, I've got planty room.
I use.
Should I go and get one?
No, feel free. Shall I speak and you go get some plants? Eliza's gone to get some plants.
Fantastic.
I use my plants as what's called a protective ward, which is basically when one of my plants dies, it's because someone's tried to like send negative energy my way, and it catches it rather than me. And you can do the same thing with manifestation by like scattering plants, and if it grows, then whatever you put, your intention has gone into it, it will manifest. And if it dies, then there's something blocking your path. So it's keep blowing out dandelion seeds.
This is something that I really believe in my plants as well, that how well they do and how well they grow very much comes through that positivity and that.
I was going to say, I'm surprised that you don't practice any. Also, this is
feed me flies,
and it's.
I feel like I do. I've just never put a label on it.
You don't need to put a label on it.
It caught one.
You don't.
And 3.
Oh goodness!
Get it?
Caught some flies. You don't need to put a label on it ever.
No, I think we spoke a couple of weeks ago about being spiritual and the different ways that you can practice that, and actually paganism is just another thread.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like most people are spiritual, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be pagan. Pagan is just underneath the umbrella. I think it links in with the idea of queer identity a lot of the time, because it's just an umbrella term to kind of bring people together and closer to, in this case, Earth and the practices around it. I really like your Venus flytrap.
Thanks. He was hungry. Oh, he has caught
flies. I feel
flies.
like it has a nice energy having living things in the house with you.
There's so many.
I was gonna say, you have more plants than me, so you can talk about this one more than I can.
Fantastic. So how does paganism look in the UK? Do you have a place that you would worship? Do you do it outside?
I wish.
Yeah,
that
would be nice.
I've been trying to, over lockdown, get into contact with the UK Pagan Council to try and see if we can set up a place of worship. And but because I also tried to get into contact with like Surrey County Council, but they don't give funding to any religious groups, which is completely understandable. But we usually, a lot of us practice like individually. I pray every morning at my altar, and you have an altar.
Sure do.
Sure do.
Or like outside.
I was gonna say outside as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people would go outside.
Basically, just anywhere you feel like at peace.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of the time when because we go on holiday together quite a lot, or where we have anyway, and
obviously not during Corona.
No, but like
in ancient times.
Back in the day.
We would just kind of, every time we felt drawn to a place, we would just take kind of a moment to appreciate the surroundings and the spirits attached to like the natural surroundings. And it's just nice freedom.
So in a way, it's nice that you can practice anywhere, but I imagine it would still be nice for you to have a place where actually.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I wish that we had a big temple with like
the dream.
Oh gosh, big temple.
But for now, Facebook group.
Yeah, I'm part of
there's a Facebook
group. There's general like UK pagans, which was it was like a lot. There was like a 1,000 or something in that group, and I was like, I'm okay, that's scary. So I'm part of Hellenic Polytheists UK and Ireland, and there's like 200 of us.
Okay.
Just casual 200,
which it's not that much in comparison to the actual population of the UK. But
I say, do you find like there are certain, like you'll follow a certain type of paganism and you'll find other people that are similar, and then there'll be other people that kind of go down different roads?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know everything about it, but
that's okay. I'll jump in if I feel
swag. How did we discover the fact that path?
How did we discover path? How did we discover path? Because we kind of discovered it at the same time.
Well, you discovered it before me, and then I was like,
hello.
Okay. That sounds cool. Let me give that a go.
Yeah. Falls down into the like black hole of Hellenism.
Yeah. So there's like different parts, but the one we're Hellenic pagans, which is like the Greek gods and stuff. But then there's Norse paganism.
Yeah, heathenry.
Yes, and they like believe in different gods and like higher powers.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, no, they had different deities.
Yeah. So and then there's quite a lot though. Like I probably can't name them all, but there's like
Kemetic, Hellenic, heathenry, Wicca, African spirituality, Native American / First Nations people spirituality, Indigenous people.
Do you have to be religious to be a pagan?
That is a good question, Eliza.
See, that's what I was just getting confused about. I was like, I thought that was just you can, right?
No, so it's kind of a lot of people just say that they're pagan, but they don't actually practice to any deities, which is kind of where the religious like ritual part comes from. I used to just be like, I'm a pagan, and then like lie face down on the earth and cry. Not actually, like in a good way.
Look up the vibes.
Is that if you're following a structured religious path within paganism, it doesn't make you more or less of a pagan that doesn't have a specific religious path. It just means that we have a bit more guidance, which is funny to me because we still only have like 2 religious texts, and they're nothing like anything that you would think of in mainstream religion. Because we have Hellenism. Eliza is getting props. Okay, take this is the book that I have that helps me very much. But as you can see, it's literally just a regular book that was written by a regular man who practices Hellenism and like I think he has like a doctorate. I think he has a doctorate in classics, and essentially we don't take our religious texts are technically like the Greek myths, but we don't actually interpret them as like fact. We a lot of the time, depends on the pagan, but interpret the myths as kind of life lessons rather than actual things that happened.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the time that's what differentiates practices in paganism, is a lot of the time we work with deities. We also work with deities instead of worshipping them a lot of the time. But we don't take kind of scripture as fact a lot of the time.
You interpret it in your own way then.
Because that's how a lot of the time we believe that the deities wished for us to read it and interpret it. Because, you know, life is learning alongside suffering. That's a Buddhist teaching. Life is also all life is suffering.
It's kind of dark.
But it actually makes a lot of sense. It's about, I'm reading about, sorry, I know if we're going off on a tangent, but
no, not at all. It's really interesting.
Because because I read up as much as I can, because I lead like pagan society at my college, and there's so many people from so many different paths, and I try and learn as much about each of them as I can. And there's a lot that we like resonated with in other paths, I think.
Oh yeah.
Especially in heathenry. I don't know about you, but they have like 6 pillars. That's Norse.
Oh, right.
And one of them is like charitable gift exchange, which basically means that like if someone does something for you, you kind of determine how much value that has, and then as a result of that do something for that person. And it's basically just communism, but it works really well and is really like, it's, I don't know, it's just super cool. But yeah, Buddhism is just kind of under the spirituality umbrella, but a lot of pagans also practice Buddhism. I kind of practice some, and the teaching is that all life is suffering and we are connected by the human condition to other people.
I like the idea of kind of, you know, if someone is kind to you, then you're kind to them. That's something that should go through
absolutely
everybody, really, isn't it?
It's karma, and it just kind of a lot of the same, because we're all lumped together within paganism. We all kind of share similar concepts with different names. We don't really have one like that in Hellenism that's directly, but it basically is just like be a good person to people. The teaching of Hellenism is to be kind to others and, you know, be charitable and forgiving, but not to impress anyone, which sounds weird, but it's basically a lot of the time teachings are do good things and then you'll get into the good afterlife. In Hellenism, it's do good things regardless of where you go in the afterlife, and it really pushes you to ground yourself and feel present in the moment, which I find really useful.
Yeah, that sounds really, really beneficial, actually. And actually, it doesn't matter where you might end up in the future. You should be doing things because you want to, and it makes you feel good and happy, and it's going to help somebody else.
There you go.
Yeah. It makes people's like good actions and good decisions more sincere, because they're not just doing it to get into their idea of, you know, heaven.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that that's what people might do, but it kind of eliminates that possibility of doing it, because it's calling out people that do it. Be like, hey, now don't do that. Just do it because you want to do it.
Because you feel motivated to, not because you want a reward. It's a kind of about the idea of taking away reward from doing good things, because
let the good thing be the reward, not just life.
Exactly. Quote that. Put that on a t-shirt. That was spot on.
I'm so swag.
You are. Well done.
Thanks. Good.
Oh.
So that kind of leads on really well to our myth busting, doesn't it? Because I think sometimes people seem to think that if you're a paganist, I should say, that you're going to be looking for Satan, or you're going to be bowing down to somebody like this. But actually, it's a really...
Where is he?
Satan.
I know. He's disappeared. But actually, it's a very calming, nature-based religion, right? So actually...
Yeah. So basically, this is always one where I just want to say this off the bat: Satanism isn't inherently bad. That is what you need to start eliminating from your mind right now. I encourage anybody who believes that to go and read a passage out of the Satanist Bible, because all it encourages is happiness and kindness and not imposing your beliefs on other people, etc. The morals of Satanism and kind of the Satanist path are actually some of the best that I have ever seen as someone who practices spirituality. The reason it gets a bad rep is obviously because we kind of live in a Christianized society, which is completely fine. Like Christianity serves its purpose for some people, and that is really, really cool. However, Satan was never inherently a bad, spirit in non-Christian, belief systems. And we have to kind of try and isolate the representations that we have, because first of all, some pagans are Satanists, and they are some of the chillest, nicest people I have ever met. The second of all, not all pagans are Satanists, and even if they were, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
It's just about for the people that kind of are like so set on the fact that Satanists are evil. It's just a kind of matter of mind your business. Like,
first of all, mind your business. Yeah.
Be respectful of everyone's religion, because just even if it's a tricky one, because in Christianity, I understand that this religion might go completely against what you believe, and that's why probably it has such a negative stigma, because even if you're not Christian yourself, that's what you've been taught is bad.
Yeah.
But it's just about being respectful, and just, you can believe exactly what you want to believe, and you can believe that that's bad, but if these people believe that, then just let them be.
Let them be. They're not
if
hurting
they're not
anyone.
doing you any harm. Yeah.
Exactly.
It literally says within the Satanist Bible that you may not ever do harm on another person unless they have directly provoked it by injuring you. So, the idea, I always think that it's like, I don't know. Oh, wow. Fight. I don't know if you've seen Stardust, the movie, but shout out Stardust, the movie.
Sponsor.
It's got Michelle Pfeiffer in it. It's very good. Go watch it. Did you just say food, Michelle Pfeiffer?
I just like the name Michelle.
And essentially in that, there are some witches who they have loads of animals that they have caged up, and then they kill them and use their guts to do divination stuff. That's not a thing.
Yeah, that is not a thing. Well, it might have done one once upon a time, but it no longer does. That is very much not a thing.
That's not a thing. Even in Satanism, no animals are killed, no people are killed, no sacrifices are sacrifices. The last thing I sacrificed was a pomegranate.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there for that one.
What happened to the pomegranate? Did you eat it?
No, I
crack it in half.
Yeah, so for me personally, I go to I was about to say I'm very lucky to have some relatives who have passed away.
Oh my God.
I go to my grandparents' grave, because they were both very spiritual people, and I crack open a pomegranate, one for each person, a half for each person, and I dedicate it to Lady Persephone, who is the goddess of the underworld in Hellenism, and it basically ensures that they are looked after in the afterlife, and that they watch over me and protect me.
That's really beautiful.
And it's not like people especially around graves, I think they have such a stigma where they think that we're gonna go and dig up a grave, and just no, I literally light a candle and I'm here is a pomegranate, and then the animals from the surrounding areas come and eat it, and it goes back into the earth and recycles. And I basically, one time I saw a deer there, and that is an animal representation of one of the deities I work with. And it basically was a surefire way of me knowing that my grandparents were looked after. And I think that's quite a good representation of kind of the thing that we do as Hellenists.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. The whole stigma that pagans are evil graveyard dwellers, because I've actually heard that a lot more than I was expecting, and it's really
graveyard dwellers. You should be scared of graveyards. They are full of dead people that will come and kill you.
No, but they're they're being disrespectful. Pagans are actually more respectful than most people, normal non-religious people I know about graveyards. We have a lot of graveyard etiquette that we take very seriously, and that we try and promote, because it's a very sacred place for pagans. So we don't really it's very calming. It's
who came up with the idea that it's not calming? I want to meet them.
Very nice. I understand the stigmas, but we have a lot of etiquette. We really don't when people take pictures of graveyards. with like pictures of headstones, because it's almost
It's
like
inappropriate.
you can't ask for that person's consent to be like, hey, mind if I snap a quick pic of your headstone? And it's just respecting the spirits and the place they lay, and like we're very respectful of it, leaving the place as you find it and stuff like that.
And like
So
meeting
that whole
gatekeeper.
thing about graveyard, that's why it's so crazy to me, because most people I know are like, pretty graveyard, take photo, I put it on story,
which is completely
which goes
inappropriate.
against what we believe.
Yeah.
Do you think there needs to be something to be done around the education of how we talk about different religions in schools and after school?
Yes,
because actually,
this is okay. I hate to be like bombarding this conversation, but this is literally something that I want to do, is to like work with people in education to make it something that's talked about more, because I don't know about you, but I find it incredibly frustrating that people don't really know anything about paganism, because we are one of the first religions. We are a pre-Christian and pre-Islamic and basically everything. All of the modern religions we've spoken about. We are the building. What is it? What's the foundations? We are the foundations of that.
I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. Wait, what did you say? Oh, I forgot my point. You had a really good point. What was your point? You said
about
a point. Disagreed.
In education, we need to talk about paganism, especially because it was sort of the foundation of all religions, right?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I didn't mean I disagreed. I do actually agree with you. But
don't teach about paganism. No,
you teach about paganism, but at the same time, I feel like the main reason we should be speaking about it, because then the argument comes in like, what about this religion? What about that religion? Like, there are so many religions.
Yeah.
But it's the argument is why paganism is because there's so much miscommunication and false information out there compared to most other small religions. Yeah. So it gets a bad rep regardless of how big it is. Therefore, it's about breaking the stigma.
There you go. That's what I was trying to get at. Thank you, Eliza.
Definitely. It's the same about Satanists and witches and kind of everything that comes around religion, isn't it?
Sorry, it's the fact that we both went.
Generally, there needs to be more of a conversation, I think, breaking down that stigma and
absolutely,
and learning about these things.
It's like I had a conversation with someone once, and they were like, "Oh, I've never met a pagan. I've never met a pagan. Never met a pagan." And I went, "Yes, you have. I'm standing in front of you." And he went, "Nah, you're not one of them." And I was like, yes, I am.
Yes,
and
sir.
so is probably your doctor and your pharmacist. And if you've ever got a massage.
Why are you specifically just talking about doctors?
Because I know so many doctors who are pagans.
I know, but it was just a very odd party.
Doctors. But no, I was getting at that because a lot of us choose to be healers.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That was what I was getting at it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's that if you've ever met a herbalist, they are most likely a pagan. Stuff like that. It's they're starting the conversation about paganism all around you, because it is in basically everything that people do. Like, if you think about what you do, you get up. A lot of people do like yoga and exercise. That's literally practicing spirituality.
It's all those things, isn't it? And even though you don't need to put a label on them, if people
absolutely.
can identify what they are, then then they can do a little bit more research.
Yeah, it's about respecting where they came from. I can't speak today. And there's been this whole thing recently about the fact that most people are aware of what chakras are, but they don't realize how whitewashed they've been. And looking at the fact that they came from Hinduism, and you're actually meant to not balance your chakras, you're meant to destroy your chakras, because you're meant to destroy the connection that you have to your body and reach enlightenment. And there are 114 that stretch all around your body. On average, there's more in different teachings and stuff, and that's kind of a prime example of miseducation, because it's been so whitewashed.
News to me.
News to you. So yeah, it's about changing the narrative that we have in regards to respecting where things came from and looking at them objectively.
Yeah, we really water down history sometimes, don't we?
Oh, we love watering down history. We love it. We love it so much.
More watered down.
We love.
Squash at a birthday party.
That was really good.
Thank you.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Do your research, people watching this. Go do your research on chakras and how to destroy them and reach enlightenment. It's good to research into.
But also,
so if someone go on.
No,
if you're scared and you want to balance them, just call them energy zones. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna have to have a chat about
No,
this
we'll
later.
talk about that later. It's fine.
So if someone wanted to find out a bit more about paganism, kind of, how would they go about that? What would you recommend?
Come directly to me. No, I'm joking.
I am the source of all of this.
I am the source. My lives before me and my spirit guides. We haven't even got into spirit guides and working with deities yet, Molly. Anyway, yeah. Google books are great. I recommend this one if you want to learn about Hellenic paganism. Here it is. This is not sponsored, I promise. I don't know who Tony. I can't say his last name.
Tony.
But no, not that book.
What? Why not?
Because it's really. It's like. Okay. No, it just a lot. It's in it is also for context, this is a book I gave Eliza, I think, or recommended it to you originally. But essentially it's like women witches. That one's great. This is another one of me and Eliza's recommendations. This is more about witchcraft and stuff, but it's about bonding with the earth and all that stuff. There was a book that basically try and avoid books that are like women, just women, nobody else, because obviously like
there's lots of other people.
Not women.
Not women.
Not women.
I literally organize a coven and
not
a
women
pagan
here.
society. There's a lot of us who are not women.
That's a really important point.
It also doesn't acknowledge the fact that trans people also exist and stuff like that. It's just basically it was just a stinky book. Sorry to poop on your book.
I like the cover.
It's a very good cover. We don't mind us. We just get into bed. We're tucking it.
Hold on.
Not all the way down there. No.
That's fine. Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface, have we? There's so much to talk about. Or we could talk about.
I could literally, like, both of us could just be here all day.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. Thank you so much for joining me.
That's okay. Thank you for having us very much.
Is there anything else you want to share about maybe your path or how you got into it, how it helps you?
I have something I'd like to say.
Yeah.
If your religion or path is not serving you and is not preaching love, light, happiness, and peace, maybe it's time to look somewhere else. And that is not me shading any specific religion. That is just something that I believe a lot of people need to hear, is that if it's not serving you and if it's not, serving positivity, you don't need to be part of it anymore, regardless of what the people around you say. And that you always have a place in paganism. We will always accept you no matter where you come from. As long as you are not preaching hate, you are safe with us.
I think we change so much during our lives, don't we? And something that maybe worked for us at one point, actually then we grow and move away from it and something else serves a purpose. So I think it's spot on.
Absolutely.
That's a really nice thought. And it's nice that actually it's a place where everybody is welcome, and we try and promote that in every religion we speak to, every kind of
of course.
But it's not always been the case, has it? And I think some religions maybe have got a different, darker history and maybe haven't been as accepting, especially of the LGBT community.
I just like to put it out there that I work with Hermes, who is god of trickery, who has had like male partners. We both work with Apollo, who was canonly bisexual.
They're all a bit gay.
Dionysus was polyamorous and queer.
It's quite fun.
Hermaphrodite was the first intersex person recorded in like myths. And that kind of occurs in basically every pagan path, is that there are
gay icons.
There are deities who will represent you. Also, Artemis loves lesbians.
Period.
She's like protector of women and babies. So she's like
Walla walla,
Let's go,
walla walla.
lesbians.
Let's go.
Let's go, lesbians. Let's go. Yeah.
It's nice to see that bit of history, sort of way back then.
Yeah,
You
for
had
sure. And
queer people.
There's people who are like, no, they were not. Yes, they were.
They so were.
Apollo had 114 lovers.
Wow.
And like 85 of them were men.
He got round.
He did the rounds. He
did the paper round.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Do you have anything else you would like to say
To
to the people?
the people. Put me on the spot here.
You can take your time. I mean, we're not in a hurry. It's okay. Okay, just keep dodging my
You can
kisses.
do it. No, it's because I don't want to be. Anyway,
That's all right.
I don't want to be
Maybe we'll catch up another time and talk a little bit more about Greek gods or herbalist way of life. So many
Ooh.
things to discuss.
Don't get me started on herbalism. Herbalism. But yeah,
Amazing.
no. You always
Cool.
have a place in paganism.
Yeah.
Unless you're mean.
Well,
Very good.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Just a reminder to everybody that this is the end of LGBT History Month now, and I think hopefully we all learned a little bit something about paganism today. I definitely know that I did, and I'm going to go and explore a little bit more, I think. So
Yeah, just text me, Molly, when you know,
Drop me a text.
drop me a text.
I'll drop you some messages, ask you some questions.
No, please
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you
We'll,
very much.
We'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.